All right, we're gonna wait a few minutes, see if make sure my audio is good. See if somebody pops in here. Uh, we'll see here in a second if I get any viewers or not. Didn't have a whole lot of time to set the stream up. I wanted to get it done before Steve's uh, stream tonight. Can you hear me? Can you hear me though? Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. Want to make sure that folks can hear me. Can you hear me now? Hello, testing 1, 2. Okay, good. Yeah, because I'm using two different computers and I'm basically using my CMP back here for one with the Blue Snowball. And that's the reason why I have two cameras here. So one of them, the mic is muted so you don't hear echo. So there you go. All right. So I'm going to actually get started on this rather quickly since Steve is streaming. Hey, how you doing, Baby Boomer Twerk Team? Man, I always have to laugh at that name every time I see it. All right, so switch over to this camera view. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and delid these two CPUs and put them, and you can't see it because it's off frame, but we're going to put them inside of this dual processor CMP tray that I picked up just recently. This has the stock CPUs in it, so it's going to be a pretty good upgrade. We're going to be doing the razor blade method. So let's go ahead and get started on this. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Let's get to this camera here. We're going to start doing the razor blade on here. Now, there's a lot of people that don't like this method, but you know what? I like it. Need to get some new razor blades too. But if you start on the corner and you break the seal on these things, works out pretty good actually. I've done several of these CPUs, so a lot of people think that you should just use a vise. I don't like that method. I will discourage anybody from using that method because these old Xeons are not just pasted in. They are actually soldered in. So the problem is that you get the device actually, I have a feeling that the device will actually destroy the CPU die sometimes. Now, a lot of people say, oh, no, I've had success. Well, that's fine. But I've also read a couple articles where people have had problems with it. But I just feel that this is a much safer way of delidding a CPU. May not be as quick as a vise method, but you know what? I'd rather take my time and do it the right way. So there you go. All right, so I got the stuff cut. So now I'm going to put the razor blades in. Now you put the razor blades in just to put pressure on the heat spreader. A lot of people, like I said, don't like this method, but like I said, to each his own. I prefer this and I recommend this way. It's just me. If you don't want to do this method, that's fine too. Do what you like to do as long as it works for you. All right. And then I'm going to, now a lot of people take too much heat and they use a heat gun. Well, I don't like to use the heat gun. I have a hot air workstation that I use. Now, I used to use a tape roll, but I could not find my tape roll. So we're using these helping hands to do this. And all right, so let me get my hot air workstation, and this might be a little noisy. Let's get this up to about 450. I'm going to go like this because the CPU is that way. And you're going to hear a little pop. There we go. This thing is hot, so there's one successfully delidded CPU. That thing is probably burning hot. So we're going to let those, oh, that thing is hot. So bottom looks good still. All right, let's get the next one ready. Yeah, I know, Jay. I forgot to take the nozzle off. I should. In fact, I'm going to take it off when it cools down here in a second to do the next one. Yeah, that was kind of dumb on my part. I didn't even think about that. But it still worked. It just took a little longer than what I planned on. The thing you got to be careful about is that there are little capacitors all around this thing, so you don't want to go too deep on these things. So make sure you stay well within. Now that's why a lot of people don't like this method, but if you stay within the safe limit, you're good to go. I mean, there's nothing to worry about. This is actually a pretty easy method of doing this. And these razor blades have already cooled down. Oh, hey, Daniel, I am delidding some CPUs. So you can see that's this is a 5675 CPU that I'm upgrading my CMP with. So I'm delidding them because this is a 2009 Classic Mac Pro, and it requires delidded CPUs. So therefore, I am delidding them. And I prefer the razor blade heat gun method over the vise method. I do not recommend that. But like I said before, to each his own, but you know, just the way it goes. This is just the way I like to do it. I know Jay does it the same exact way. I think he and I have the same agreement on why we do it this way. So all right. Yep, that is a thing, Daniel. You actually have to do it for the Classic Mac Pro. All right, let's go ahead and turn that on. I want it to take now. See, Jay, I took the nozzle off, so there you go. There we go. All right, so those are done. Well, that didn't pop all the way. So there we go. What's the problem with these, Daniel, is that these old Xeons, they are not, they're actually soldered in. I don't know if you can see this on camera or not, but that's actually solder. That's not actual thermal paste. So delidding these are a little bit different than other CPUs. That looks good on the bottom. Still a little warm. So now that we got those off, we're going to go ahead and start scraping the solder off. Now, there's some people that sit there and say use and this is some soft solder. So I don't know if you could see that on camera, but it's really hard to see. But basically, I'm just scraping this stuff off. Going to make the CPU die as smooth as I could possibly make it. I am not worried about making these. Now, I don't know if you can see that or not, but that is what was on there. In fact, let me switch over to my other camera. It has better focus. So this is what was on there. This is a piece of solder. So, but anyways, so what I'm doing is basically just getting this as smooth as possible. And then I'm going to put them in my 4,1. So yes, you have to do this for the 4,1, Daniel. It doesn't they require delidded CPUs for the dual processor 4,1. Now, the funny thing is that the 4,1 single CPU has a lidded CPU. It's not like the dual processor. The dual processor, for some reason, Apple decided to do a single or a delidded CPU on their. All right, let me get my magnifying glass out. Yes, I am blind a little bit, so bear with me there. Let me switch back over to the other camera so you guys can see a little better. Yeah, only for the dual configs. The single CPU has lidded chips on it. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm just scraping off all this solder to try to make it as smooth as possible. Now, there's a lot of people, and you'll see them online and stuff, people selling these mirrored CPUs. I don't care how the CPU actually looks. I care how it performs. So that actually is pretty good. So we're going to go with that. But now I still have to cut. Now you have to be very careful on this part because I'm going to be cutting the rest of this glue that was holding the heat spreader on. And this stuff is a pain. You got to cut as much of this off as you can, but be very, very careful that you do not cut any of the capacitors that you see sitting right there, because that would be a bad day, and then your CPU would be like useless. So you don't want to do that. So I'm almost getting this off in one piece here, so that's a good thing. I got to make this quick too, because Steve Mac 84 is going live at 2 o'clock or 2:15, so I want to have this done before then. I should have no problem getting it done. I've done this several times, so it's like second nature now. It's actually pretty easy. And there we go. And that's here's that camera right here. That's the gasket that was around the CPU. Still got a little bit of isopropyl, a couple of Q-tips. Hi, what's up, Steve? I even plugged you in, see, for your show that you got coming up soon. I want to make sure that this is as smooth as possible. Like I said, I'm not worried about getting a mirror finish on this. To be honest with you, I don't care. So once I put the thermal paste on, it's going to be perfect. All right, so that one's done. So now this one actually looks pretty gnarly here. So we're going to have some fun with that one, getting all that solder paste off there. So let's go ahead and get that. Like I said, just be very, very careful. There's a lot of capacitors on here, and you could knock them off. I just like to be very slow and patient doing this. Yeah, I'm not going to sneeze there, Steve, so. Now, I do have a video on my channel that I edited out on how to do this. I just wanted to do this one live. Let you guys see. It doesn't take long at all to do these. I think the longest part of this was me getting the CPUs. I bought these off eBay about a week ago, and they were supposed to be here Thursday, but everyone knows how the USPS decides it wants to be a pain in the butt sometimes. So, all right, that looks pretty darn good, actually. Oh yeah, that is smooth. All right, so now let's get this gasket. If this takes too long, I'm going to probably just test offline. I would like to do the testing online, but I'm looking at the time here. I want to get done by 2 because I want to give Steve some time to get on here and do his thing. He is actually, and the reason why I have to do that because we're actually using the same software. This is our MacYac. So if you're not a fan of MacYac, suggest you go out and check out that channel. We do a podcast every Thursday night live. So Steve is there, I'm there, Jay, a whole bunch of us. So if you're not a current watcher of that, go check that out. You'll be surprised at the content we have over there. We have some pretty good stuff. So we do that every Thursday night live. All right, so that is done. All right, so these 2 CPUs are now fully delidded. So now it's time. Tell you what, before I do that, let me do the bottom here, clean off all the contacts. Just do that real quick. It's always a good idea to clean all the contacts and make sure everything's clean before you put it back in. right. So now, let me put these out of the way. And these I can just toss or do whatever I want with them. These are pretty much useless to me now. Clean up a little bit here. I'm going to just move this out of the way. So now we can get my CPU tray out. All right. Let's dig into this thing now. This thing was dirty as all get out. Jay put a picture up on his website. He does. What is that? Something about your Mac services, I think is his website. Go check that out. Jay does a lot of repairs. I highly recommend his repair services. He fixes a lot of newer Macs, like the MacBook Pros, stuff like that. If you're into the classic collecting stuff, and you have a classic Mac that you like to repair, if you're in the United States, I would suggest Mac 84, Steve. Not sure if you want me to plug you there, but we did anyways. Oh man, CPU. No bent pins. All right, I have a small little issue that I need to it really wasn't causing any problems. It was just a little piece of plastic. Looks like it got into the pins there, which is weird. All right, so we don't need that one. So we're going to put this CPU in. And yes, I do like to use these spreaders. A lot of people say, don't put the spreaders back in. Oh, you do international? Okay. Well, yeah, I would say shipping would be at their expense. I wouldn't want to pay that. I use these spreaders. A lot of people don't say to toss them. And the reason why I suggest keeping them, because when you're using one with the heat spreader is actually pressing down on the outside of the CPU to keep an even pressure on it. This little gasket right here that they put in here, or this little black piece that they put in here, is made to keep even pressure around the chip. So if you take this out and you have the heat sink on here, it's only pressing down on the actual middle of the chip. So all these pins are not getting equal pressure. So I recommend that you always put that back in. A lot of people say, oh, when you upgrade your CPUs, you don't want to do that, blah, blah, blah. I've done this a couple times on my CPU or my other Mac Pro that I'm actually streaming on right now, one of them, and it works perfectly fine. The temperatures, I get about 30 at idle, about 30 degrees Celsius most of the time. I think the highest it goes up to is about 65, 70 when it's under extreme load. So yeah, I recommend putting that on there because it keeps the pressure on the whole die, or not the die, but the whole substrate pushing down into the socket. So just my advice. All right. I need to find my thermal paste. What did I do with it? There it is. First off, I need to clean this old. Well, this isn't old. It's actually, I just put this on about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. So it isn't old paste by any chance. So that cleaned off real quick. I need to buy some more thermal paste because I am running out. I only got a little. Alrighty. Some people will say, well, use a washer method. Well, another problem with using the washer method, which basically means you leave them lidded, but you put washers in to keep the CPU, the heat sink up. There's a fan connector in here on this side, and it won't make contact. So you have to break the plastic to get it to pull it down to make contact. And also along this side here, there's a lot of VRMs, memory chips that get hot that this actually sits down and touches. So you'd have to actually get thicker pads to make it work. So that's why I recommend just going ahead and delidding these things, because to be honest with you, that's the best way. Because here's the thing. When you use a delidded CPU, you can actually screw this thing down till it stops, and that's the correct torque on it, because it won't go any further than what it's supposed to. So you can't over tighten it. When you use washers, you can actually over tighten the heat sink, which is a bad thing. So I do not recommend using the washer method. A lot of people, some of the groups that I follow recommend it, but I personally do not recommend it. Apple designed it this way, so why not just do it the way Apple designed it, So there you go. Once you get them all to where they stop and they no longer turn, it is tight enough. There we go. So that's one done. So let's get the second one. I might have enough time to do a test on this. Also, if you're watching this, hit that like button. I would very much appreciate it. I don't think I have the. Let's see. Can I do the smash that like button? No, I don't have it on this one, so I'd have to do it a different way. So, anyways. The chat got kind of quiet in there. I was wondering if I still have people watching or not. I know Jay is with family, so that's the way it usually comes off. It comes off with the CPU still attached to it, which is the preferred way for this to come off, because then it doesn't mess up your. Another thing I did too, I modified this tray a little bit. This is the North Bridge right here. I took the plastic ones out because one of them broke. And they snap off real easy. And I put metal screws in here to hold it down and bolted it to the board. Works just as good, and it actually does a little bit better, I believe, than putting that plastic ones back on. And they won't pop off. So I guaranteed it won't pop off. All right, so let's put this CPU in. Here, I'll turn it around so you guys can see. I need to take this off. You goopy yumminess. Put the spreader back on. And you can't put these in wrong because there's slots in there. So just let you know there's no way you can really, I mean, put it in wrong, you'll know it because you'll probably break the tray or the CPU socket. And then Jay will have to fix it. He does fix those actually. He actually has taken some that have had some severely bent pins and actually has fixed them. I did not like the way that went on. There we go. But yeah, we help each other out on MacYak. So like I said, if you have any classic Mac stuff that you want to get recapped or have a problem with, check out Steve. He does that. Like I said, Jay does the newer stuff. As Jay says, he doesn't do beige. So if you ever get into working on these a lot, this little tool right here is a godsend. I bought one of these. I think I got it off of Amazon for a couple of bucks. And this just makes life so much easier. Alrighty. That is it. So we're about ready to test. So let me switch cameras here and turn this camera. Yeah, watch my mess over here. Over here. And we're going to put that into CMP. And we're going to test out to see if we can get this thing up and running. May have to do a PRAM reset, but we'll see. Now, this, you won't see a boot screen on here because this is a non-flashed GPU in here, so it'll be a black screen until it actually comes on. I didn't hear a bomb. No lights. No red lights on it here. All right, so we're going to do a PRAM reset here. Yes, I already 5.1 flashed this. Trying to do a PRAM reset right now. But I'm not hearing a bong. Yes, Jay, I did flash this. This is a flashed one. All right, let me reseat the tray. Yeah, I might have to put the, let me put the 120 back in so I could see what is going on. So bear with me a second. I am getting it. What the hell? One of the little pegs came out with the plug for the monitor. That's weird. All right, so let me reseat this. Plug it back in. I have no lights on the inside of it, so that's a promising. No red lights. All right, let's do another PRAM. I'm not getting anything. So, yeah, I done broke it. Well, I'm going to have to go ahead and I will update everybody on Discord whether or not I got it up and running or not, but I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream. And I'm going to figure out what's going on with this thing. We'll see. I don't. Yeah, I'm not going to get it up and running in the next 3 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Be sure at 2:20 check Steve Mac 84 out. He has his open talk going on. So just go try it. Go check it out over there. We'll catch you guys later. Have a good one.